Four people with four unique stories on one mission to disassemble corporate brokerage one bad suit and tie at a time. We are the Rebels of Real Estate.
I didn't root today. Woo!
I think it's soon time to redo that opening.
I want to redo it. I hate it.
I see you cringe every time it comes on.
I would love to
we can
redo it. Or somebody else do it.
Since the beginning.
I want to do some different music too. Like
I want some break beats or some drum and bass.
Whoa,
sorry. I'm going in.
I mean, you know, we are at podcast number.
I gotta say it, number 14.
Don't take a shine.
I won't.
Do that again, Adam. I don't think that was good enough.
It's podcast number 14.
There you go.
Good job.
Good job.
Proud of you, buddy.
You should do the intro.
I like it.
I got a real knack.
If everybody would fall asleep before they even got on the podcast.
All right, guys, let's get this puppy on a snowball.
Let's get this snowball on the road.
Further on the road.
We're gonna
push this snowball down further the road.
Snowball. Once all there, then there, chicken.
You like
love
my
you,
terminology.
Adam. We love you. It's okay.
Hey, keeping it real.
It's phenomenal.
Real Pennsylvania Dutch.
So, you know, we have been ahead of the actual crowd on preparedness. It's National Preparedness Month next in September, I think. How about that?
Ooh.
We're rebels. We don't like to do what everyone else does. But we've been doing a lot of blogs and stuff on weather and being prepared for things. But preparedness is a lot deeper than just the weather, right?
Thank
Don't laugh at me, Lisa.
I don't know anything about weather. We're in Pennsylvania.
We have weather here.
Yeah, but we don't have extreme weather, really.
Ice and crazy wind.
Yeah.
What about that storm that came through Saturday? Oh, you weren't here. Were you here?
It was a storm.
I don't remember it.
We had a storm come through Saturday.
All my stuff was in the pool.
Oh my gosh, it was horrible.
My
storm
tables were in my pool, along with the umbrellas.
It was like every day in Florida.
It was like 10 minutes, and I went outside. Oh, all my shit is everywhere. So.
I don't know. I've never had anything blow in my pool in Florida, but it's probably because I have a lanai. So
yeah, you're like enclosed.
But anyway, so let's start right now. Let's talk about preparedness. Are you prepared for this podcast?
Sure.
How do you prepare for these podcasts?
What was your preparation techniques or methods?
In the morning, I do 180 mantra, sitting my facing the sun.
Do you practice your vocal cords?
I do a lot of ohms, to get ready. I'm prepared. Okay. I'm ready for this. Let's go. Let's get this thing done.
Let's get this puppy on a snowball.
So I tried to be sneaky and just have this conversation without preparing you guys, and that turned into a whole conversation because everyone prepares differently.
Yeah, because we're doing a very important podcast, and we have 10,000 listeners, and they really like what we do. So we
went from 15 to 10,000.
So it's projecting. We're projecting positivity.
That's it. Yeah.
It's not projecting. What is it called?
Manifesting.
Manifesting. Thank you. Manifesting.
Yeah, we can't keep saying, "Oh, we only have 15 listeners" every time we're on here, because then we're only going to have 15 listeners. And actually, we have a lot. I was telling everybody that I had 4 people in the last couple of days literally reach out to me, and one of our agents texted me last night at 9:30 p.m. and was like, "Are you guys releasing a new podcast? I'm caught up and I need something else to listen to." So I think we have people listening. It's cool.
We do. It's kind of cool. But yeah, I think it's funny from my perspective. I sent, for everyone who's listening, I send out questions ahead of time about what we're going to talk about to the group, and it's funny how everyone's different. Like Corey probably doesn't even look at them.
Never.
Didn't even look at the email.
I didn't look at the email. No, I did not. I'll be honest.
And I catch Adam printing the emails, so I know he is very prepared. And then
Either
Rob,
or I have them on my computer.
Rob, I feel like is in the middle.
I look at everyone and I read them, but I'm not printing them out.
You're not writing your answers.
No,
Do you write your answers?
No, I don't.
Okay.
To be honest with you, I typically will print it, and the first time I'll look at them is when I get here to the table.
Yeah.
And then he goes on
really
Chat GPT and prints out answers for each of the questions. And
then puts them in his notes on his phone.
Better.
And then reads them verbatim. Yeah.
Oh my God.
I don't do that.
That would be funny though.
It is a good tool. I mean,
it's a good tool, but
I love to be prepared.
Do you?
Yes.
So if you look at my scale that I gave us, where do you sit? You need to be ready for
About
everything.
252.
You're in the middle, or you just wing it.
I'm like an A.5. I'm in between A and B.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
So you're prepared. But you hate to be unprepared.
Oh, I hate it. Like, I'm weird too, like with preparation.
H.
I know, that's what I don't want to do that. I don't want to take it there. Yeah, like, I mean, I'm always prepared. Like, my house is prepared for intruders. Like, you know, I have like food stash, nothing crazy, but I have like a little bit of a food stash if something goes down, right? Like,
We're going there.
I mean, that's preparedness, right? But like, and then for like, and Corey will attest to this, especially early on, like when we had an important meeting the next day, I was obsessing with it the whole night, like getting ready mentally for this. Okay, what if they say this? How am I going to object to that? How are we going to move here? Hey, listen, if they do this, what do we do? That's what I do. I don't know. I can't turn it off. So
Are you prepared for a party too? If you just had a random party at your house?
no, when it comes to that kind of stuff, I just wing it.
Okay.
See, that's
Like-
where I
Okay.
over prepare. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I'm a weirdo about that.
You
Like,
do.
if things-
You're always like getting ready for the
things
birthday
need
party.
to be
or-
ready.
Oh, I guess
Right.
if we're
Coming
hosting
over.
it, I guess there's two different things. I guess I didn't think about preparing.
Food-wise, I
Yeah,
need to have
preparing
way
for
enough.
our party. Yeah, I'm
Like
the same way.
I don't skimp. Like you have more food. In fact, I'm probably sending people home with food usually. 'cause I'm
Always too much
over-prepared.
food.
Yeah.
We talk about that. Like, why do we make so much food thinking everybody's just going to eat everything?
We did that
Or
at
because-
Bash.
yeah.
How much extra food did we have at Bash this year?
Well, I mean, when you have a
boatload.
$30,000
Oh, I
food
get it.
minimum, what do? You don't order food and just pay the money, or you order the food and pay the money?
We should have filled it up like little baggies and taken it with
Send
us.
them home
you know?
with everybody.
Yeah.
People
Here's
just
your-
take
here's
some,
your
people
to-go
were
bag.
taking stuff to go, but that's the problem when they hit you with a $30,000 food minimum,
Yeah.
and
Probably recycled half of that stuff too, man. It was going quick. Like they took it all and we're out of there.
yeah, I
They
know.
reused
It's
it.
such a waste. It's sad. They
Yeah.
said I think he said
They donate it though.
Yeah, they donated is what I asked them about that. I think they take it into Philly for the homeless or something like that.
That's cool.
So,
Yeah. So we did our good
At
deed.
least that's what they tell you.
That's what they tell you, yeah.
Adam,
Staff takes it home.
where are you on this scale?
I mean, I think for me, when I think like preparedness, you know, we can talk about like getting ready for parties or emergency weather situations, things like that, or vacation. But I think like in business preparedness is thinking about, you know, what decisions you take and then what potentially could happen from those decisions and being prepared for answers or actions based on that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it is very important to be strategic, you know, in your thinking, and, you know, critical thinking skills come into that a lot, and that's part of being prepared.
Yeah. I think you're way on this end. You need to be prepared for everything.
I think
for
so.
the
I
most
mean, but I'm
part.
a little bit more like when it comes to like packing for a trip or something like that,
Yeah.
I'm last minute. You know, like sometimes you can over prepare, I feel like, for those things, and then things change or they don't go
Right.
the way you think they're going to go, and it's just a waste of time anyway. So you have to be somewhat prepared, but be able to pivot, you know, on the fly.
We could take it to the plane. This is where you segue to the plane because you have to be prepared to fly a plane, right? So
Oh, there it is.
Oh man.
You do.
Wasn't
do.
brought up by Adam.
Procedure too.
yeah,
You know,
right.
Protocol.
Protocol.
Just like, flying out of Ocean City late at night and,
Almost
have a
dying.
little sputter. But we just go through it anyway.
Yeah, a little sputter. I mean, how about Vermont?
But
That
he
was
was
a fun one. It was
prepared.
pitch black.
He was
It-
prepared.
He was prepared for
Eh,
what
was
could
he, though?
happen. He was
I'm
trained.
always prepared because
Like a Boy
if you
Scout.
train,
I got
your
kicked out of Boy
mind
Scouts.
reacts based on it's building muscle memory for those types of situations.
Yeah.
You know, and as a pilot, you have to consistently train for those things so you react the right way in those situations.
I mean, most successful people were prepared for the moment that came to them, right? Like, it's
Right.
interesting because you talk about preparedness, but it's like when you listen to people talk about success, it's preparing yourself for that moment. It's not, I think people get so caught up in the day to day where they forget that, hey, you need to be ready when that moment calls on you, right? You got to be prepared for everything.
Corey,
Well, you already know where I land on that scale.
you
so
wing it.
I've been
Except for
wing-
when it comes to parties.
Well, there's other things that I prepare for. So like backpacking
I'm
and
about to
stuff
say
like
when
that.
you go hiking.
Yeah.
I'm on point with all of that. I mean, I always have, but like I have everything that I need. I have everything's in the right spot, which I don't do that in any other part of my life. So I don't. I shouldn't say I don't. I guess I do a little bit, but
You're prepared when you have a new hobby.
I get prepared, super
Yeah.
prepared for those new hobbies for sure.
Like
yeah.
you're about to snowboard.
That lasts for
so
like
you're-
2
you got
minutes.
all the
I got all the
things.
good. I got all the goods. Yeah,
He's actually been, that's been like 2-3 years now. You've been stuck in
Yeah,
with
you've
that,
been
bro.
on it for a
That's
while.
been the one.
That's not going to change. I love
Fishing
it.
too. That's the new one.
It's not new though.
Oh,
dude.
okay.
I've
Yeah,
fished.
you say you
I've
fished
fished.
It's
forever.
reemerged. It's
Yeah,
come
it's
back
just
around.
reemerged
Yeah.
as something new to do in the evenings.
That-
Some time.
That was a bad obsession. That's an expensive obsession, fishing. Like
Yeah.
really fucking expensive.
I went and bought lures the other day. Didn't spend $200 on
Quick.
lures. Yeah, that was
Yeah.
that was still not what I want.
I probably have like 25, 30 rods.
Oh yeah.
Like my tackle selection is pretty ridiculous. It's a boat, like I have kayaks, like everything that you can do to fish. I have
I have a pink
expensive.
Princess rod in my garage hanging up somewhere.
You should bring that with you.
I should.
We should
the
all go
clicker,
fishing
it's
together,
got
and
a
you
clicker.
have to use that.
Yeah, the pink Princess rod.
Oh my gosh.
We should
bring
do
that
a
to Fort
fishing
Lauderdale.
podcast.
Watch, I'll end up catching the biggest fish too.
Probably
Love it.
will. It's definitely, no matter how good your equipment is, it doesn't mean shit at the end of the day.
I feel like being prepared is important. It is. But for some reason, for me, it's just like I'll even like overthink getting prepared, and I don't start it because of the daunting idea of preparing for it.
Yeah.
So I just
You get
don't do
stressed
it.
over it.
Yeah, I'll
That's
stress myself out about it.
procrastination.
Maybe it's ADHD is what it
Yeah.
is. But I mean, I'm not trying to use that as an excuse, but yeah, I'll get overwhelmed with the idea of it and then just don't start it.
I'm going to go back to the fishing rod conversation. We have to have multiple fishing rods in our house because I'm a lefty. And you don't want to switch it. You know
Yeah.
what I'm
Do
saying? So
you do this? Are you on the left side? Do you put your reel on the left side or your?
Yeah, do you reel with your left hand then, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
See, I'm left-handed, and I don't like it on the left side.
No,
I like it on the right,
Yeah.
which is weird.
that is weird.
I do
So-
cast with my left, but I like it on the right.
Hence why more rods in our house because anyway, got to have multiples.
Multiples. Preparedness for fishing.
It's a big deal, man.
It's a big deal.
Or you end up catching a fish on the wrong pole or wrong line.
Snap your line.
Right.
All those river monsters out here in Pennsylvania. We do have some river monsters, though, in the Susquehanna.
For sure. So when you think about like how you are for a prepared person or unprepared person, how does that impact you in your day to day? Like, do you feel stressed if you're not
I
prepared?
feel like if I'm unprepared, then yes, you feel stressed more so than you really need to be for a
Mhm.
situation. If you're not prepared for something adequately, it's going to be more stressful on you. You're more bound to make errors or mistakes, etc. So I think, the more prepared you can be, the better performance you will have.
It's like knowing
I concur.
yourself. Well, knowing yourself, right? Like, Adam, I don't think you're one to wing it as much, right?
I will sometimes.
if you need
yeah.
to.
Yeah, I don't know. You know what it is
Depends
for me?
what it is.
I think preparedness for me is more of a mindset. I look at it as like mindset. So for me, like to prepare, I'm not writing down notes and studying and looking and reading things. I'm changing my mindset to be in the right mind frame for whatever that situation is, right?
Setting
so
your mindset.
yeah. Does that make
Gotcha.
sense? That's
Mhm.
kind of what I'm doing is like, if we have a business meeting and I know it's not going to go great, then I'm in the mindset for, okay, how am I going to counter that? How are we going to do, right? It's those
Right.
kind of things are in my mind. So I guess I have to know, like I can wing it. I'm fine winging it, but I like to make sure that I'm in the right mindset for whatever the task is at hand.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think winging it is necessarily just saying screw it. I'm not looking at it at all. I don't think it's just saying.
I think it
Screw
depends. I think it depends on the level of knowledge you have too, on
Right.
what you're
Yeah.
going into or your subject matter. If you're
Great point.
very knowledgeable, I can talk. If an agent calls me with a random real estate question, I have no problem at all because I've been doing this for a long time. I've worked through many issues and I have the knowledge, background, and experience. But if it's something new to me, or something that's uncomfortable to me, I find the more prepared and the more time that I spend on preparation for that, the better I perform.
Right.
So that's something to keep in mind.
It's interesting because the first thing you said, you actually did prepare for those conversations for 16 years. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Exactly.
It's been years of
Right.
preparing
Yeah.
yourself and for those moments. That's why, you're in the position that you're in.
Which I think when people feel like they always have to have the answers, that's where the problem is. You see somebody who has experience and they can just, spout out whatever they need to, and they feel less than perfect, right? So,
Mhm.
Hey, people, you don't need to know everything overnight, right?
Yeah.
Take that time. Do you find that if you're unprepared or overprepared, you have to rely on others more because of how you are? Or less? How does that impact your relationships, being prepared or unprepared in any part of your life?
I think I drive people nuts when I'm unprepared. Like, I'll give you an example, like trips,
Yeah.
like a family trip, right? I over prepare. So I'm looking at like the times, the drive time from each place, trying to plot it all out sometimes. And I think sometimes that's a downfall because you start to focus on the timeline and you don't let yourself go and just enjoy the trip. So I know that for me, that's probably a downfall that I drive people nuts with, my kids and stuff. They probably are ready to kill me sometimes. And it doesn't allow you to be loose and relax. And I think sometimes I need to remember that not everything has to be on a time schedule and not everything has to be prepared when it comes to that. It's weird because I'm such a wing it person when it comes to other things in my life. But if I know that I'm in charge of something, like I feel like, when you plan a trip, like you feel like you're the person that's like has to put it together for everyone. So then you want it to be perfect. It's almost like you're in this weird mindset where you're like, it has to be good for everyone. And if it isn't, it's my fault and I failed. But then you over prepare for it. Like you just said about over preparing, and then you annoy everyone. So,
it's the control piece of it. It's the same with parties, right? Because you feel like I'm hosting a party.
And I think it also goes, I like to have them. I don't necessarily like going to other people's, which is freaking weird too, but I like to have, it's definitely a control thing. It's 100% a control thing.
Well, and you're comfortable in your home, right?
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, that's probably part of it. I mean, honestly, like I'd rather sit at home and enjoy an evening because then I'm not driving, right? So, and it saves money.
Lots of money. Well, not really.
Unless you're having parties,
when
it's
you're
not.
Having parties, it doesn't.
But if you're just sitting around a campfire,
I literally am over parties. I said to Eric.
You said that all the time.
I'm over them. We had graduation parties. It's literally been every weekend. We've had something to go to, or I'm done. I'm gonna go over it. Yeah. I just want to sit in my yard.
I hate relying on other people. So, so for me, this whole thing goes more around the whole. I don't want to have to rely on anybody, but that's probably due to other reasons in my life for being like that. Like I don't want to feel like I'm burdening somebody. So I will over prepare sometimes too for that reason. Adam.
I feel like daily preparedness is important too. To get, like Rob said, into the right mindset.
Like brushing
for
your
the
teeth.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. Taking a shower.
Showering.
And stuff
Deodorant.
like that.
Making sure you go to the Quentin Haas.
Yeah, exactly.
Get your one egg and
your sausage.
Black coffee and AM radio.
But, for me, it's exercising, getting up in the morning, going to the gym, getting into that mental place, that good spot where I'm able to perform at the best, during the day. Mm-hmm. So is getting myself prepared for the day ahead. Mm-hmm. And for me, that's in the morning, getting up, going exercise and feeling good about myself, and I'm ready to take one a day. So that's key, for my success during each day.
Yeah, having that schedule.
Yep.
Totally good.
All of it to me. I mean, from the physical to the mental to the spiritual to all of it, I think needs to be right. Or if one of them's really out of whack, then you're
good point.
When you have to deviate from that schedule, though, how does that impact you? Like, how does
for me things become more chaotic because I like structure.
Yeah.
I like when it falls apart. I guess I'm a weirdo, but I mean, I worked in the restaurant business prior to, for years, and I loved being in the weeds. I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved when things were falling. I just did well. I loved the chat. I don't know what it was, but I would thrive off of that. So for me, I think the chaos is good sometimes, but it's also bad.
Yeah. It's like when you said at the gym, like for me, my gym schedule is whenever I get there, like that day. And I don't think I've gone the same time twice in a week yet. Like, it's like, oh, this time it'll be 11 in the morning. And then this time I've gone at 9 at night last week. You know what I mean? And then there's another. So like, I'm okay with when it comes to that kind of stuff, like preparing my day, I guess I'm okay with winging it. But, it's interesting. I don't know. I'm all over the place. It's the best.
I go the opposite of Adam. If I'm too restrictive in my schedule, it stresses me out because then I feel like if I don't hit something, I'm not accomplishing.
Here's a question.
Things. So I have to be more open to that. I like the schedule to keep me on track, but
when you're vacationing, what do you like to be prepared? I shouldn't say prepared for the vacation. Are you structured in your vacation? Prepared for this is what we're doing time-wise?
I hate being like that.
I hate it. In fact, I don't want a vacation like that at all. Like when people are like that, I don't want to hang out with them. One of my buddies is, we're doing this and we're going here this time. I'm like, nah, man, I want to just let it happen, and relax and enjoy yourself,
I fall in the middle of that. I'm bad about that sometimes just because and for me, I'm so focused on making sure everybody is good. It's a bad trait of mine. Like, we're going somewhere and I want to make sure that everybody has a great time. So like, I don't know if that's like from running bars and restaurants and nightclubs my whole life, but it's like, I have to make sure everybody's having a great time. Like, what are we going to do? I got to make sure there's something for them to do today because I don't want them to be bored. I got to make sure that we're going to a good restaurant and the food is good because I want everybody to have a great time. I want to make sure, I'm like, that's my,
it's
like
probably a little different,
thing.
with kids, right? You got to keep them entertained and stuff, but like if it's just me and Andrea, like we don't really plan to the T.
That's
we
a
may
good point.
we may
It's
like
the
say,
kids,
hey, tomorrow we're gonna drive over to whatever Miami and stay there for the night. But I get what you're saying
It
because
was also different when we had little kids.
When
You
had
have to
kids,
have more.
That is what it. You're right. I didn't even think about that
Yeah.
because when I'm on a vacation with just adults, like me and Ashley just go out like the Key West or something. There's no planning. We're just like, what do you want to do today? And we're like, I don't know. Let's go bar hop, or let's go here or whatever. So no, you're right. It is probably part of the kids thing. Like you feel responsible for them and you want to make sure they're
There
good.
was always a plan, and I'm not going to say it was me, that it was Erica, but there was always a plan when our kids were little for the day, always, just to keep them busy, especially in the summertime. So.
Some of it's age too, I think. I do think when I was younger, I was a lot more like, oh, if we're going to do this, I want to get the most bang for my buck, right? Because you don't have as much money. So if you're going to go on vacation, what can I get accomplished? But that gets exhausting. It's like, just enjoy the moment,
Yeah.
I prefer that.
I need to be better about that.
So if things tragically happen today, anything, what things are you prepared for in life? Or what aren't you prepared for that concerns you? So for instance, something happens to you. Are you prepared for your family and, what happens for them? Those types of things.
Adam is over prepared.
Adam's been prepared since like 16, I'm pretty sure.
No, he just did that though. You just put all that in place.
Yep. Yeah. I mean,
Talk about that a little bit, big guy.
Well, too, there's a sense of responsibility, not only, to your family, but to your organization, your company that you work for, depending on your job or position or whatever. So, for me, that's an important thing. If I'm not here, the show must go on, for everybody else. And
Show must go
if
on.
I'm not here, it shouldn't be a detriment to other people.
Right.
Yeah.
So, it's
That snowball needs to keep rolling.
Yeah.
exactly.
Gotta
Gotta
keep
get
that
that-
puppy on a
Gotta
snowball.
keep
That
it-
puppy
keep it
rolling. Yeah.
And in business, you have succession planning, and bigger companies plan for that. Just a couple months ago, what was it? The two brothers that ran the big construction company out of
Oh,
York
yeah.
were on a skiing
They
trip,
were-
and
yeah.
they
Yeah.
tragically died.
That was
Yeah.
horrible.
So I would imagine they have something in place. They're
Right.
a pretty large company, but they were two key people.
Yeah, that was sad.
Yeah. So
Good point.
I think it's very important. We just never know.
Right.
From day to day. So, and I think it's, your individual responsibility, again, based on where you're at, who you're responsible for, is to ensure that things aren't detrimental to those that you leave behind.
Yeah, it's almost, that's cool how you spun it like that, I think, because it's not about you. It is
Correct,
about
yeah.
other people. And you see that so often, right? Like
Right.
there's a GoFundMe every day for funeral expenses, right? And things like that. So,
And life insurance, if you can get term life insurance, get it.
yeah.
It's cheap, and it's there in the event that something like that does happen for your family.
Yeah, I'm prepared. I have things in place that if something would happen to me, my kids are going to be good. But I'm not where I need to be with that because I need to do better estate planning and stuff like that. So I think I'm like halfway to where I need to be for it, but I need to be at that next level.
Just like I said before, not even saying winging it, but like I look at it, I don't want to look at it. Maybe that's it. You know what I mean?
You have a fear.
I don't fear dying at all.
No.
Not even a little bit. Like I'm good.
You don't
Like
wanna think
that
about
does
it.
not scare me. It used to. It doesn't scare me at all. But it's just another task that I don't want to necessarily do. I have a will. That's as far as I've gotten. So I have a will.
I'm like Rob right now. I'm in the middle, but mostly it's just because even after you do prepare, you have to update your preparations. And that's where I'm at because I'm an empty nester at this point. There's all kinds of different things that need to be updated. And Justin and I laugh all the time because I manage like that money. I have the passwords to everything. I do all that stuff. And he's like, do you have those saved somewhere, man? Because I don't even know how to log into my credit card.
Oh, man, I don't even think
it's like
about
things
that.
like
Yeah,
that
that's
where
wild.
it's like, you know, some of those little things
See,
have to
I
happen.
have all that. If you want some
I
notes,
have
I can
it.
give you some.
Well, I have it. It's just, have I actually shared it or put it somewhere where he can accept, you know, access?
I don't think you
easily?
think about it. And not that
So,
everybody knows that
yeah.
it's a possibility, but you don't think it's going to happen to you. You don't think it's going to happen to you.
I mean, are there things in your lives that have made you be one
I've
who's more
seen-
prepared or unprepared?
Well, for things like that, you know, I've seen my dad struggle when his parents passed.
Yeah.
You know, weeks dealing with attorneys and, you know, things that were owed, you know, outstanding items that nobody had an idea about.
Try months.
Well, months. Yeah, you're right. Months.
Horrible.
You know, it's not fair to the other, you know, other
Right.
people in our lives to put them in those situations.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, for, you know, me, it goes back to childhood and losing my dad, and it goes it's years. Like when you have kids, it can extend to years. Like if you aren't prepared for that longer term event, you know, and there's so many other things. We talk about it here too, like how I'm always like, people are weird when, you know, they get crazy when death happens. So you have to have that stuff outlined because you want to make sure.
I'm watching a family member deal with that right now. I'm not going to go into who, but the brothers and sisters are all fighting. I mean, really fighting over the financial aspect of things and what things they're going to get and what things they don't get. Even though the will states this, there's still battles over everything. And then the executor of the estate has told me, I don't wish this on anyone.
No.
I don't wish, it's horrible. The whole family is at odds, and it's not a fun situation. So I guess being prepared is important for those situations. I'm feeling guilty right now.
Even understanding state law, I know Adam and I talked about this, like in Pennsylvania, if you have kids and you say my kid is going to go to these people in your will, it doesn't matter. The state still decides whether or not that's where they go, but you still have it outlined that that's where they go. So if a zombie apocalypse happened tomorrow, would you be prepared for that?
Hell yeah. I'm here for it.
Rob would.
I'm prepared because I'm going over to Rob's house.
And there's a zombie apocalypse.
And my other buddy that has a gun shop.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
And then if there's an invasion, if anything goes down, I'm ready. I'm here for it.
Can you grow your own food?
Yes. I used to have seeds, but I think they've since expired.
Sure, I guess there's Google, right? And we can.
No, what if the internet goes down and you don't have Google?
I mean, honestly, I don't think I'd probably look for someone to do that. Like I feel like, you know, that's when you look at creating a community where people have different skill sets, right? So my skill set would be those kind of things,
the
like
hunter.
The guns and
hunter.
you know, the handling security and those kind of things. And then, you know, I'm going to have to find a mechanic, which I have guys like that. And then you have to find someone who's great at growing food, and you have to, you know, a medical person. Right. And
just watch The Walking Dead, and then
I have
an idea
I
of
will
how
be
that'll
in the woods, and I'll be good.
Yeah.
You won't
You'll hide
find me
in a tree.
You feel
I'll be
comfortable in the
good.
woods.
I love it. Absolutely love it.
What if a volcano erupted? What if a volcano formed out in Pennsylvania and erupted?
Pennsylvania.
Maybe we have a volcano.
I guess
I'm moving to Florida.
This will be
That's
like
where
the people from Pompeii, right?
Yeah.
Encased in lava.
It'll be wild.
Right. Or like a meteor comes crashing down.
Or aliens arrive.
I always laughed when I worked
They're on
at
their way
As
now.
opposed to less meaty.
right.
Mm,
Yeah.
Meteor.
I mean, if you look at a lot of
So
companies when they do their planning, they'll say they prepare for everything, but like alien invasion or, you know, like the complete unknowns.
We should talk about that. Maybe we shouldn't talk about that.
No.
Alien
That's
invasion.
not about prepared. Are we prepared for
Is that the same as a
the
zombie apocalypse?
biologics that are flying around our skies right now?
Corey, are you prepared to be taken by aliens into their ship
with it.
and probed and tested?
Yeah, what the heck?
I'm here for all the probing.
What things are you not prepared for? I'm not prepared for getting old.
Yeah, I don't want to be old. It's a stress of mine for sure.
I mean, I am getting old, but yeah, I'm not prepared.
I would
for
say
it.
like I'm not prepared to be like immobile, right? Like
Yeah.
I'm not prepared to like have the health issues where I can't move around like I can now. I'm serious.
No,
like,
sorry, I was laughing because I am. So I have this,
you're
I have
you're already jacked up.
I have disability insurance, you know, because, hey,
Yeah.
I mean, if you get injured, you know, I was taking the motorcycle out on the racetrack and, you know, going bonkers. And, you know, what if I'm a vegetable?
Bonkers.
Or,
right.
I don't mean prepared like that. Like I'm just not mentally prepared to be
prepared,
there.
yeah.
Like I don't want to be old. I don't want to not be able to do what I do. Like that's part of actually the reason that I started getting into the gym again. Like is I was feeling it. Like I'm like getting out of my car that's low, and I'm like, oh, I'm making that old person sound getting out, right? And like seriously, and then like I'm thinking about like, and I'm looking at people who are older and who are obese or really out of shape, and I'm looking at them and I'm like, that can't be me. So like I've actually started preparing for that by going to the gym, right? Like because you don't want to be that person.
I literally just had that conversation with, where was I? Oh, I was at the gym yesterday, and there's a 92-year-old man in there that hits the heavy bag. He runs around the track. I mean, he'll run like one lap and then walk two, and then he runs again. Positive as hell, great attitude. And I look at my two grandfathers. One of them was miserable every day, just a jerk to be, nasty to be around all the time. And then my other grandfather was swimming and physically active and walking and always doing things and more positive. He lived to 95 years old. The other one died earlier, 70 something or 80 something. So I really think I think it's a mindset too. Like even though you have those aches and pains, but I don't want to be 80 years old or even 60 years old and not able to move or complaining, oh, my back hurts, even though my back hurts now and I'm still working out. But I just want to be mobile more than anything. Yeah. That's what it's about.
It's all about preparedness.
It's an old person thing to say.
Preparing your body. Preparing your body. Yeah.
And what else? Anything else you're not prepared for?
Alien invasion.
Or biologics.
Biologics, whatever that is. What is that?
AI. I'm not prepared for AI either.
That's probably a good one. Actually, is general artificial intelligence, like taking over.
Right.
Yeah.
We're all going to be unemployed and slaves to the machine.
I think it's just going to be a transition, right? Like we talk about like AI or whatever it is. It's if you look throughout the history, right, of the United States, especially like the industrial age and like all of that kind of things, right? Everybody said, oh, it's the end. Oh, what do you, and everything just shifted, right? Like computers came out and then it was going to be the end of this job. And then, now you have Amazon and all that. So then Amazon came out and be like, oh, commercials dead. Everything's going to close. No, guess what happened? Instead of building malls, we're building 1 million square foot warehouses now, right? To house this stuff. So I always feel like when everybody freaks out about new things coming, like you can't look at it like that. You have to look at it as it's time to pivot, right? So like AI is going to come out. AI is going to create more jobs, right? It's going to take some jobs away, but who's going to service the robots that are doing the job? Who's going to service the AI thing? Like those robots aren't going to like run everything, right? Like AI, I get AI is scary, and I think AI is.
I agree, and I'm not as pessimistic. I'm just pivot. I like the idea of the robots taking over or whatever from a sci-fi standpoint, but no, I do think
it's scary.
I think it's going to move mankind in a positive direction and make life better, easier, people happier overall. I think it is going to be a positive thing.
But people need to be prepared for it. And
and I don't think you can be completely naive to the potential dangers of it.
You know what what's interesting though? I just read about, did you ever read about the study the guy did back in the days with the mice and he kept creating the colony? So it's pretty wild, right? So this guy created a colony of mice, okay? And what he did basically was give them everything they needed. Made life very easy on them, right? And because life was so easy, initially like the rats just all came in. Then they created a community, people took charge and then whatever, and then it collapsed. And it happened over and over again. And basically what they came to conclusion is if things aren't hard, if there isn't a challenge to get where you need and everything that you need is there for you, like you're going to collapse. It's like, and I'm not going to get into socialism because that's going too far. But, when you give a population like everything that they need, right, there's nothing to strive for anymore. There's nothing to do. There's no challenges. And it becomes complacent and then it falls apart. They stopped reproducing like everything. It was like wild. You have to read about it. I'll have to get that, but it's interesting. So like, that's the scary thing I think with AI is do things become too easy where our population starts being lazy and not doing things that they should and allowing that to kind of take over, right?
I think of the movie Wall-E.
That's what
when
I
you
was
said
going
that.
to say. 100%. Like
Yeah,
the guy laying there doing nothing.
drinking
like,
his soda that's brought to
and
his
he's like
mouth.
morbidly obese.
Pounds, yeah.
Yeah.
Who knows?
That scares me.
I think human nature, though, and maybe it's evolution, is to always progress and achieve and challenge oneself, you know, as a human. I don't know if it's an inner need, you know, that humans have, like a desire, but I, you know, feel that within the human population.
Yeah, but look at the generational changes right now, right? Like, think about this, right? We all talk about it. The younger generations, they want things to come easier and easier and easier, and they have more and more trouble with challenges, right? Like, if you seriously look at it, think about our generation versus the new generation right now, where kids are like expecting the instant gratification. Things are supposed to come easy to them. Like, it's different. It's a
I don't
different
think all of them,
mindset.
though, dude.
Yeah.
I
They're not all like
personally,
that.
personally, and this is my personal opinion, this is going to be against popular belief or thought process, especially in a business, but I think we're heading towards a more, and I hate to use the word woke because woke is not the right term, but
I hate that word.
spiritual. That's what I'm saying. I think more spiritual and the shit that really matters in life, as opposed to
Free
striving
thinking.
and working your ass off for shit that doesn't mean anything at the end of the day.
Is it?
I think
is,
that for me is huge. So
is it younger people being more knowledgeable and having access to more information, and they're not wanting to take the route to work?
I don't know. Let's ask Katie.
Well,
She's
listen,
right
but
here.
like not wanting to take the route of, like, you know, like my grandpa worked in the coal mines. You know, that was hard work,
It
right?
is, yeah.
Katie's the wrong person to ask because she works her ass off.
She does work her
She
ass off,
does.
but get your opinion of,
No,
of
but,
a younger person.
I definitely do agree. I think being like more prepared and not wanting to be like older generations, like we really do see what matters, like you said. So I think coming from that standpoint, it is definitely the social media aspect of it. But yeah.
So you can focus differently.
Yeah.
Your attention differently. You didn't have to do papers from the encyclopedias that
So,
your
like,
parents bought.
There are new ways or better ways maybe to become successful or do something that you want or you desire on your own to kind of build your own thing or whatever. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to go, you know, work in a factory or whatever, like your, you know, generations before us did, because you have access to more information of what others are doing out there and tools that you have at your disposal to do things that might be more creative or, or different, you know. So I don't know if it's necessarily laziness. I think people see there are other ways to be successful in life.
I mean, I'm sure people thought we were lazy when we were younger too.
Yeah.
You know, just because, oh, now you have access to technology. I mean, the X generation is the last generation that has had both, right? So we're probably more prepared for the zombie apocalypse just because of that.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
I just picture, like, I look back, like the coal mine tour in Scranton. You know, that's a cool place if you've never been there. You can go down into the coal mine and take the whole tour. But if you look at the pictures on the wall, you know, they had 8, 9, 7-year-old kids working, you know, just pulling rocks or whatever that were a different size, you know, and you just see like 50 kids lined up on these conveyors, you know, working their butt off. And, you know, you as a young person, is that something you desire or want to do? No, because you know different, right? Like, you don't have to do that, and there are new ways and other ways. But back in that time, that's all they had.
yeah, for sure. So now that we've spent some time,
I think it's just
go ahead.
sorry, I'm still on my success though. To me, for your generation, for the younger generations, isn't based in financial gain.
I would say
It depends.
Most.
I think
Man,
it's a
that's
mixture,
all
but
my.
I agree.
I mean, it's all like my son and his friends. Like, that's all they all talk about is owning a business and doing a business and making money, and I want to be rich and I want to have all this, and like they all look at those plans. Like, I get what you're saying. I think I don't know. I guess it just depends on where you are and how you were brought up, though, too. Like, you know, like it's tough. Like, what are you striving for? Like, what are you looking for? And I think you're right. I think people want financial freedom so that they can have those kind of things.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
So it goes hand in hand. You can't, you know, this is the thing. It is hard in today's generation in America to be able to live your life freely without having financial freedom. It's hard to do both. Like, and that shit drives me crazy when people are like, oh, you work too hard, or oh, you're too worried about money, or oh, you're too worried about this. Yeah, while you're stressed about paying your bills, while you're stressed about you can't go on vacation, while you're stressed about you can't do this. It's not about buying material things. It's about freedom. And unfortunately, we're in a capitalist society where if you don't have money, you don't have the same kind of freedoms unless you want to live off the grid, which is cool. If you want to do the off the grid thing in Alaska, that's cool. But that's a very minute section of our population that's willing to live like that. And if you're not willing to live like that, then you need it. And I'm going to say, because I'm with a group of guys on a regular basis that are blue collar workers, and I can fucking tell you right now, they might not have the stress that we have, like when it comes to like your day to day, but their stress is different. And all of them look at me and say, I wish I was in your position. And sometimes I look at them and I'm like, sometimes I wish I was in your position, right? We talk about that. But I can tell you that I don't have to stress, and they stress. I talked a guy off a ledge last night that's in my club, right? He has to stress about how to put food on the table for his kids. He has to stress about those are different than our stresses, okay? I'm stressed out because of business, but you know what? I get to fucking eat, and I get to put my kids in school, and I get to make sure they have clothes on their back. So I'd rather stress about that kind of stuff and grind daily than have to worry about where my next meal for my kids is coming, or can I pay rent? Am I going to get evicted? Right? Different problems. It's like we're in a utopian society.
Well, society we have to live that way. We have to. Yeah. And that's what, to me, is what sucks, that we have to strive. We have to do that, or you're and really I'm not trying to get all weird, but we as humans are not created to we shouldn't have to do that.
Agreed.
Period.
Yeah.
We shouldn't have to do that, but we have to now in the way society's set up.
Hey,
it is easy to say that because we have some extra money or we're able to pay our bills, it's easier to say, I want to live like this because I can. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because I can live like that. So yeah. Anyway,
you were already weird, by the way.
I've been weird since day one.
I think weird, but
humans have a desire. There's different tiers of happiness, right? There's the physical needs, then like the physical, financial, shelter, food, etc.
Right.
But at some point, fulfillment, money doesn't fulfill you.
That's the point.
It's completely different. You can, be a billionaire and be in an empty house and be miserable.
Right.
Yeah.
Or you can make a median annual salary and be completely happy. And a lot of that goes back to mindset too, in this situation. But
tell that to someone who works 14 hours, 7 days a week,
right,
to survive. Tell them they can still be happy.
Well, you're on your basic needs, but what I'm saying is the more money or resources somebody accumulates,
I get what
I
you're
understand
saying.
what he's saying.
There's different levels of fulfillment, which is a human. You have to, for your basic needs, right? You have to meet your basic needs. Yeah. So depending on where you're at, but there's always a desire of a fulfillment desire, regardless of the resources you have.
Yeah.
And you kind of went back to that mice study. What happens if people have all that? Where do they turn to? There's still that desire, that social part of it, or, class or power or, status in society. And if you don't have those struggles or challenges on a daily basis, does that become toxic? And are we seeing a little bit of that now in society?
From what you just said, like, and I've said this to everybody in this room, but you have this idea, okay, I was broke at one point in my life. If I hit $100,000 a year, that's when my life will change, and that's when things will get better. And it really doesn't.
It doesn't.
It doesn't change. No. I mean, I don't care if you're making $1 million a year. Really, if you come back to your mindset, if your mindset doesn't change and you don't view things differently, even how you handle money, it's going to be the same whether you're making $1.5 million a year or making $50 a year.
But it's easier if you have money.
Easier.
So it's easy for us to sit here, and this is why I'm saying this, because I have conversations with guys who are not in a position we are.
I get it.
It's easy for all of us to sit here and say, hey, it's not that great when you have money, because we have fucking money, right? But those people that don't have money, that don't get to take their kids to the fucking pool, or can't go to the fucking river, or can't go to the lake, or can't spend time with their family because there's so much in the daily grind because they have to be, that's not a great place to be. And I don't care what your mindset is, you try to make the best of it, but you're stuck in that rat race.
Sure.
And there's nothing that you can do to change that because that's what society's done to us.
And I get, dude, I completely understand that. And I'm not I am not above that or think that
I get what you guys are
Well,
saying.
and
We've
been in those
money,
situations.
your problems don't get
Right.
away. I agree with you. Your problems don't magically go away when you have money.
Yep.
But I can tell you, your ability to change your
different.
mindset is way easier when your
you're
financial
there.
stress
I agree.
isn't
No,
there.
I agree with that.
Way
I agree with that.
easier.
Yeah,
All
I
of us
agree
are
with that.
really blessed to be where we are, and there's a lot of people that don't get that opportunity to change their mindset or enjoy life because they're stuck in the daily grind and they can't get out of it.
I'm not trying to be the douchey guy with money that's sitting here acting like.
No, I know.
I'm
You're
not
not
at all,
that
dude.
guy at all,
I'm not
Corey.
at all.
You're not that at all. I would never take it like that. But
I mean,
I'm been really blessed lately to be in really deep conversations with guys who are in a much different position than I am, and it's good. It's good to do that. I think, I hate that people always say surround yourself with like people. You know how
shouldn't.
like you should surround yourself with other people that make money so you can fuck that for what?
no.
I'll surround myself with guys I
real
like.
people.
Yeah.
I like real people.
And you know what you do? You lift those people up.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think that's an egotistical like mindset when you're like, I have to be with guys that are doing better so I can lift myself up to their level, right? I get that, so you need that. But what about lifting people up who are below you?
Mm-hmm.
What about teaching people to be able to be in the same position as you, right? And that's where I'm at now, where guys are. Last night he's asking me, how did you do it? How did you change from the way you grew up to the way you are now? Tell me.
Mm-hmm.
I need to know right now. I need to know how you do it, right? And there's a lot of people out there that just need that.
For me, that's the where I want to say where we are in our lives. That's how we benefit other people, and that's how you change the world. Personally,
Yes.
as far as I'm concerned, like I have never been coming from our past. I've never acted like I'm better than somebody from the hood. I've never acted like I'm, you know what I mean? And everybody always says to me, you don't act like you're better. And I don't ever want to be, as I say that though, there's times that I say stuff and Erica will look at me like that was
a dick move.
a dick comment.
Mm-hmm.
And
Oh yeah.
it happens sometimes, and it's
Yeah.
because of our ability to be able to do whatever, I guess. And I guess sometimes I do forget too that
You have to remember where you came from.
you have to remember where you came from. And sometimes it is when you're able to do whatever, you forget that other people can't. Like we have friends that come over that, hang out occasionally and like, hey, do you guys want to go do this? And we were there, bro. Like I remember not being able to afford to go out to eat. You know what I mean? Not to be able to go somewhere nice to eat or be able to go away for the weekend or whatever it is. So I don't forget the struggle. I don't forget the struggle. I don't want to ever forget the struggle. So I hope I continue to.
I think
not be
though to Rob and like the people, everyone you talk to and stuff, like everything that's happened for us wasn't overnight. I think
No.
people are always looking for that magic pill or that one thing that makes it change. Like me getting where I am today, that's taken
Years.
47 years of my life. It's not like it happened overnight. And
Preparedness.
it's being
Yeah.
prepared.
You're prepared for the moment.
Prepared for what's going on, but it's pushing yourself forward, right?
And it starts
even
with
when it sucks.
small changes in your
Right.
life, small habit changes. For me, it was, my daily schedule, right? Where one, not using substances, alcohol, hanging around the crowd, the cool kids or whatever, is changing my mindset and my life when I was younger because I wanted to make something and I wanted to have a family and wanted to be a productive member of society. So that change had to occur first. Then it was
It's that incremental
focusing
change.
on my education. Yeah, it was a long road. It was because, again, I was not a college prep person. It took me 5 or 6 years to get an associate degree in nursing. But again, it was mindset to change where I wanted to be in life. And it took a long time and it was hard work. And I worked 3 jobs and bartended on Saturday nights and struggled, and it was nonstop. But it was something that I had a vision for down the road of what I wanted to do. So it always starts with those changes in mindset, small changes, and it takes a long time of daily working towards those.
Doing the next right thing. I tell kids that all the time. Like, what did you do? How'd you get out of the drugs? And there's super little steps as far as I couldn't find a job when I first got my crap together. I took a job at McDonald's. Like I was at a point where I didn't care anymore about any of that other stuff. I was like, I want to be better. And if it comes down to me working at McDonald's,
And it's the small things. But if you would have told me
out as,
this is everything I'd have to do to get here, it would be overwhelming.
Yep.
And I do that even in my daily, when I'm overwhelmed daily with the tasks that I have to do, is I don't try and think of the whole. I take one at a time. That's one way that I can work through a lot or an overload of stress is I revert my mind back to one task at a time. And as I start knocking down those walls, the stress starts to come off of me.
Calm down.
Yeah.
Banging on
Banging on the table.
Jeez.
Sorry,
you know
I
what the shitty part is though is there are people with extenuating circumstances and outside things going on that can't and never will have that opportunity, and they have to listen to people like that. Like I'm over and I'm gonna get a little crazy right now, but I'm over the self-proclaiming fucking prophets on social media and on podcasts that are like, you just have to do this to do this. Tell that to someone who just lost a kid. Tell that to someone whose mom's a crackhead and goes to their door every day homeless trying to get money from them. Tell that to those people. Tell that to someone who was homeless from the time they were born until they were 15 or something, right? Tell that to those people that didn't get an opportunity ever come to them, no matter how much they worked, no matter how hard they tried, no matter what position they put themselves in. That's the shit that I'm sick of hearing about, right?
I'm thinking of somebody immediately as you say that, man, that has been struggling for, we've been friends for a long time, and starts to do well in this business, and then something happens, and he's at a point where he's like, I'm not striving anymore. He's like, I'm done. He's like, I can't do it anymore. He's barely paying bills, barely able to feed his family, struggling with the stuff that guys struggle with as far as feeling inadequate as a father. I get it. I understand what you're saying. He doesn't see the hope. He sees no hope.
Yeah.
So
we should do a podcast on this. Actually,
yeah,
we just went way off.
But I like this.
Think it's deep.
This I can vibe with for sure.
Hey, just a little shout out. If anybody out there is going through something and they need someone to talk to
For
about
sure.
the struggle, man, hit me up.
Yep.
Call me, for real. Look me up.
All of us.
I'm down too.
Yeah,
I like the struggle.
it's.
I don't like the struggle, but I like.
I've been reminded lately. I think I got off course on that for a long time because my day to day is with people who aren't in the struggle, and my club has brought me closer to that, to understanding where I am, and we do wellness checks. So once every 2 to 3 months, we're in a group setting. There's 17 guys, and we say, hey, it's a wellness check, and everybody gets up and they talk about their shit, and they talk about what it is. Like there was a guy that lost. Listen to this shit. In my club, there's a guy who lost $2 million 2 years ago because he worked for the turnpike his whole life. Did really good, saving money, good investments, like everything. He had $2 million in savings. He met a woman. They're dating. She has a really great opportunity for investment. Invests a $2.3 million into this and loses it 30 days later, and she leaves him. He lost $2.3 million. So when I think about my problems and my stresses, and this guy, and he almost killed himself because of it. Could you imagine? So we do wellness checks, and I can tell you, for everyone out there who doesn't have that exposure to people who are going through things or don't get a chance to talk to it, find yourself a group of people who are willing to talk about their shit. Because the more you hear other people's shit, the more you start appreciating the things that you have and start realizing that maybe some of the things that you thought were horrible really aren't that bad.
Yeah, good
And
point.
I think also
That combats some of the social media crap where people get hung up in that,
Fake shit.
They're always going on vacation. Like they're all like you're seeing a show, man.
It's
You're
always
seeing
the
a
show,
show.
yeah.
All right, we're getting that's the next podcast though. We got to chill. That's podcast number 10.
We do,
Adam,
it's
So social media. We're
yeah,
gonna talk about
it is
if
a little.
you guys like this podcast, the next one's about social media, and I think that's going to be a good one. So make sure you guys tune into that.
We're going to make Katie talk a lot in that one.
Yeah, Katie's talking on that one.
exactly what you were saying with people and looking at other people and thinking they have their shit together. If you get to know them, everybody has junk.
Yeah.
And they may look like they're perfect and that their crap is, that their shit doesn't stink, but then you realize after you get to know them, they have more dirt in their, garbage and baggage in their closet than I do,
Yeah, because
So I
they do
think-
weird things. The more money they make, the more weird shit they do.
The truth is, though,
Anyway.
we haven't really gotten off the topic of preparedness. This is actually just an opportunity for those of us who are at an advantage to help people get prepared that need help. So we can
All
bring it
about it.
right back in, right?
Cool.
And even for generations like Katie's,
See, Lisa just lassoed this whole podcast. And bring it
Yes,
back.
I
That's what
did.
she did.
You know, there's a lot of things that, you know, those of us who have come up to where we are now, like we are doing things to prepare our own kids for the future, you know? And the young adults who have joined us in the workforce, like it's our opportunity now to do that.
This is the last thing I'm going to say because I know we need to get off this podcast, but it's funny because we went to the Luke Combs concert on Friday, and we're right by the stadium, and we looked to the left, and on Friday it was the hottest day I think ever recorded or something like that, or close to it
In Philly.
in general.
Oh, okay.
Like not but the whole planet, right? So Philly was like 98 degrees. It's obviously not the hottest
hot.
it's ever been there, but it was 98 degrees and humid. And to the left of us is this lady, probably in her late 40s, right? One flip-flop on, one flip-flop off, shorts and a tank top, obviously sunburnt, pulling a cart with a kid that was probably 3 years old in a diaper and no clothes, okay, in the middle of 97 degrees in Philly. And I look over and I look at my kids, and I didn't even say anything. My son said, "Yeah, Dad, I know what you're going to say. Look at that and realize how good we have it." And at the moment, I was like, he's being a smartass, and I wanted to kick his ass. But then I realized, all right, well, I'm doing a good job, because he looked at that, and that's what he thought. And he knew I was going to say it. So I constantly remind my kids, and it's annoying. But
We don't know what that circumstance is either, right?
yeah.
So they may just need a helping hand.
Yeah. But thank God that's not me in the it
But I
wasn't me,
agree.
right?
Yeah.
Like,
but
thank
I
God my
agree.
kids
You
didn't
have
have to sit
You
in
have to
us.
notice it. It's the same thing, you know, again, going back to everything we've been talking about.
I think it's deeper than noticing, though. It's actually
Yeah.
going over and saying, "Hey, what do you need? What can I
Right.
help you with?" I'm not.
No, you're right.
Hey, you
You're
did
right.
that the
That's-
other day. We had somebody sitting in our office.
I left
And she
her,
got
left her
lunch.
for Lisa.
She got lunch, too.
on-
Good
yeah,
job,
she got-
buddy.
Nah, but I don't want to do stuff
Yeah,
for that
no, I
reason
get
at
it.
all. And when I do things that are good for people or whatever, and I'm sorry I'm going back onto this, but when I do it because I want to do it, and I'm not posting it on freaking social media to let everybody know what I did, because then I think you lose anything good that you did if
Right.
you do
Oh
that.
yeah,
you know?
it's right out the window. Ooh, we can talk about that in the next
Sorry.
podcast.
But-
This is a good.
No.
This is a good like segue to the next podcast.
And
yes.
but going to what you were just saying, Rob, I always felt the same way about Alyssa. Like, you know, she has been at an advantage her whole entire life. But I love when I get a phone call saying, I'm going to go thrifting, because why would I spend that much money on clothes? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
She's mirror image of you,
frugal.
Lisa.
She literally will, like, you know, save her money. Like, the kid has more money in the bank than I probably does, because she just doesn't spend money. So, you know, like, to me, it's like she's learning the right things to, you know, be successful.
she's preparing
Right?
herself.
She's preparing herself for her future.
She's prepared.
So, and that's literally what she has said to me. Like, I do the things I do because I know what I want. So,
Yo.
all right. Well, you know what? I think it's time to end
I
this.
think we
podcast.
should let's kill it. It's done.
Don't kill it.
Later, guys
Kill it. All
and
right.
ladies.
Like us on all the podcast platforms,
us.
please.
Follow us. Subscribe.
Do it.